What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all having a great day. It's pretty cold here in the Northwest today. It's about 30 degrees and I feel like I'm kind of getting sick. It might be that first coldness, sickness coming on, but the sun's trying to peek through, but it's still very chilly. If you guys didn't see in the second to last video, we got this new trailer coupler put on, all welded up, and the new trailer jack with a flat bottom, A-frame style instead of that ugly side mount one we had on there last. As you can see, that thing it wasn't very sturdy, and it liked to move side to side when it had weight in the trailer, and it just wasn't very secure, so I wanted to change that up. Alright guys, so as you just saw, I just pulled off the air filter and the alternator bracket so I can move that down a little bit. So today I'm draining all the coolant out because I got to pull apart some of the coolant lines to get some of the fitting sizes because I'm having new A-in fittings made and all new hoses. And a lot of the kits he's already made before, but two of the lines that we're going to be deleting, he needs the measurements for and the fitting sizes so we can put A-in fittings in and Y bridge it off, which I'll show you guys later. But first we got to drain the coolant out. So now I'm about to drain the coolant. Your radiator drains right there. I went ahead and picked up some 3/8 line here that I'm going to attach to that. That way I don't make a big mess with it dripping down the frame and around the trans cooler and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and attach it up now, and then we'll get this draining. You guys can see I got the hose hooked up with a nice hose clamp. That's the lever you're going to turn to start draining the coolant out, and I got a nice hose all the way down into the 5-gallon bucket right there. So we're gonna go ahead and start draining it out. That continues to drain. We'll go ahead and talk about and get started on what I gotta start taking apart. So the first line I'm going to take off is this line right here that comes in from the heat exchanger down below. So I'm going to take off these two clamps right there and then take apart that rubber elbow. Let me get a light so you guys can see it better. First line we're going to get started with today is the first line from the heat exchanger. I'm going to go ahead and take these two clamps off and pull off that rubber elbow. And then after that we're going to get under here and take apart this T, which I'll get a better view of in a minute when I get this top one off and move the alternator over, and then we'll get to that one. As you guys can see, that rubber elbow right there is really brittle and it's starting to crack, and as I got the clamps off and started taking it away from the block, it looked like it was going to break, so I didn't want to break it before getting the new lines in. And same with the one down here. If you look, those rubber pieces are really brittle and they're both cracking. So I got the clamps off of that one right there. And this one I left on because as I started taking this one off, it didn't look good, so I didn't want to pull them apart again until I got the new lines in. So now I'm going to put everything back together and get coolant added back in and start the truck up, get everything put back together. And I already messaged him letting him know the case. And we both think that they're 3/4, but the one that's going in the block on the top from the heat exchanger, I think it's either a 3/4 or the next size down. But the one that's coming from the heater core down to that T, which also goes down to the heat exchanger and then the transmission, I think that one's definitely a 3/4, but we're going to verify and double check on those before he makes all the lines up. wondering, the Banks air filter still looks good. I've had it installed for about a month or two now. Absolutely love it. Looks good. Got the air filter back on. Just wanted to show you guys that. I'll throw the cover back on real quick. And the alternator bracket. Got all my clamps hooked back up, as you can see right there and down there. So I'm gonna throw that excuse me. I'm gonna throw that cover on and then fill it back up with coolant, and then we'll get the truck started. Before I add the coolant, I'm gonna go ahead and pull off that line right there. I'm gonna take off that clamp, that hose, and pull out that little fitting and see what size it is. I believe it's a 1/2 inch, but I want to pull it out and double check. You guys won't believe this. Brennan just sent me this photo, and he was grinding. He did have safety glasses on, but he got some sparks in his eye and it hit his cornea. So right now he's at the doctor's getting it flushed out and everything. So that's why it's always really important to make sure you have safety goggles on or glasses. He had glasses on, but the spark got behind the glasses, so I always recommend wearing goggles that suck to your face and have a strap around the back that way, or like a whole face guard. That way you don't worry about the sparks getting behind the goggles. Because I was cutting tile the other day, and I was 45ing it with a grinder for the edges, and again, a piece of tile went behind my goggles, behind my safety glasses, and got in my eye. So it happens. You just got to be careful about it and really make sure you're doing the right steps necessary to be safe and avoid as many problems as possible. Coolant back into the radiator and all filled up, and same with the coolant expansion tank here. It's all filled up, and I got that hose that goes into the block back on. That comes from the heater core, goes into the block. It's going to be a 1/2 inch, and then one that comes from the heat exchanger to the elbow here is also a 1/2 inch. It goes into the block, and that T down there that comes from the heater core and the heat exchanger that goes into the water pump is a 3/4 that we verified. So that one right down there, if it'll focus. That one right there is going to be a 3/4, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. So now that I got all the numbers for the lines that I need that he didn't have, I can go ahead and get those numbers sent over to him, and he can get everything ordered up and get all the lines made so we can get them onto the truck. I'm going to be replacing a lot more than what I showed you today, but when they come in, then I'll go over everything and we'll show you and we'll get them installed on the truck. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a cap on everything, make sure everything's down and tight, and get the truck started up and get it pulled out and make sure everything's working like it should.